So I'm going to be presenting the portion with Ryan about how to use the Tyler Guide and File program that Jim was mentioning. So what is the Tyler Guide and File program? You see the next slide?
Yep.
Okay. So like Jim mentioned, it's a program like TurboTax for legal documents. So it lets the users from home, from the comfort of their own computer, even phones, answer a bunch of questions. And at the end, the forms populate and they can actually be filed with the court. So the beauty of this, especially in this pandemic, is that people don't have to leave their home in order to file a response with the court. So the two interviews that are completely integrated with Las Vegas Justice Court, and when I use the word integrated, I mean these are the two interviews that can actually be start to finish done from home, are the tenant's answer interview and the proof of service of a CDC declaration. And we're going to talk about both those interviews today. This is the website that you will hopefully be using a lot with people to help them get through the process and file from home. So a couple of important things that I just want to highlight before beginning. And a lot of this will make more sense when we go through the actual exercise of going through the answer. The first thing is register, 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 and do that from the beginning. Register your user, the tenant, as soon as possible because it saves all the information entered into the interview. If the information doesn't get saved, you have to start all over again, and nobody wants to do that. The program works best on Google Chrome. So if you can do it from a PC, that's the best thing. Many people try to do it on Internet Explorer. It's possible. It's just not really great and compatible. So use Google Chrome. When we go back and make changes, you'll see you'll just have to, in order to capture the changes, keep hitting next through all the pages so that every change is adapted. And I'll explain more about that as we go and show you how that works. So like I mentioned, these interviews are completely integrated with Las Vegas Justice Court. So if a tenant is renting in Las Vegas, this interview is going to take them from start to finish. However, if a tenant is renting in North Las Vegas or Henderson, there still is a lot of value to this interview. The only thing is at the very end, they'll have to save their PDFs and email those PDFs to these two addresses on the screen, North Las Vegas and Henderson. But still has a lot of value because it's the interview, as you'll see, is great at telling you what needs to be filled out and make sure that things are populated in the right portion. The other thing that I just want to reiterate that Jim mentioned several times, timing is everything. And the reason I say this is because I know that there might be a little bit of fear of like, oh, what are we putting in this answer? Is it the right defense? Are we choosing the right thing? If you get an answer lodged within the notice period, you're guaranteeing that tenant a hearing and you're guaranteeing that that tenant won't be evicted without the opportunity to talk to a judge. So sometimes a tenant might list things in the interview that you're kind of like, oh, I don't know that that's going to help them. An answer timely filed is 100 times and 100% better than no answer timely filed. So just get them in on time. And we have a script that Ryan and I are going to kind of go through that you can modify according to your own pace and style. But I think that it's going to be helpful in terms of speaking with the tenants who generally have a lot of information to share, and not all of it is going to be relevant to the interview. Okay, so now I am going to share with you the interview, and here we go. So when I call scene, Ryan, who is a new attorney at Legal Aid, but in previous life was a thespian, going to be playing the role of our tenant today. And if you look closely, you'll notice that Ryan has been mistaken many times for Jason Bateman. Is that right, Ryan?
I mean, at least once. At least once. I'll take it though.
I'm going to be, I asked Ryan what this was yesterday. Is it breaking the third wall or the fourth wall?
Fourth wall.
Fourth wall. So I'm going to be talking to you all as we go through this, but Ryan is going to stay in character as our tenant. So this is a list of all of our interviews that we have through the self-help centers, the Family Law Self-Help Center, the Civil Law Self-Help Center. You're going to be focusing on these two today. And that's what we're going to be going through. And a reminder, these are the ones that are integrated. So if you see one on here and you're like, oh, I want to help somebody file a small claims counterclaim, that's great, but it's not fully integrated for filing. So anyways, we're going to start here. This is the website, as you'll see up here. the address that we go to. I'm going to choose summary eviction tenant answer, and that's going to get me started. But remember, the first thing we're going to do is register. So here I go, and what I'm going to do is pretend that I'm calling Ryan as he set up an appointment with me, and we're going to go through the interview together. Okay, so Ryan, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, this is Lauren from Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada, and I'm calling for Jason Bateman. Am I speaking with him?
Hi, Lauren. Yeah, this is Jason.
Hi, Jason. May I call you Jason?
Yep, that's my name. That'll work.
Jason, I see that you've signed up for an appointment with us, so I'm going to be asking you a series of questions, and based on your answers, I'm going to complete an online interview with you. At the end, we'll be able to file your answer with the court, and this will be in response to the eviction notices you received. Just as a reminder, I'm not your lawyer, so I can't and won't be giving you legal advice today. But because we only have a half-hour slot together, I just want to make sure that we get this filed on time. So I'm going to ask that you give me the briefest answers possible to your questions. Does that work for you?
Yeah, that'll work. I'll do my best to be brief, and I really thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, so I have your name as Jason, Jason. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And your last name, Bateman?
Yep.
And would you be able to tell me your email address, Jason?
My email is, well, it's pretty simple. It's Jason, my name, Jason, 1983 at AOL.com.
I love a classic AOL address.
Back when they had the discs.
And Jason, we're going to be making up a password for you today, just for this program. And to all of you watching out there, when you're doing these en masse, if you have several appointments, what I found to be useful is I just picked a theme that day that made things more fun for me personally, like what's your favorite fruit? Other days I chose colors, others I chose Halloween candy, whatever gives me joy that day. So today I'm going to say, and there are certain qualifications for creating the passwords, characters, numbers. So because I know that, it moves faster for me to just say, Jason, what's your favorite fruit?
Oh, my favorite fruit?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I'll go with pineapple.
Pineapple, a goodie. And I'm creating a password for you, and at the end, I'm going to give you a couple of things that we'll need to write down. But for now, I'm just going to keep asking you questions.
Oh, okay.
And Jason, this number that I called you on, is this the best number for the court to reach you if they have any questions?
Yeah, this is my cell phone, the 580-4557 number.
Great. And will you tell me your address where you are renting and receive mail?
Yeah, my address is 1001 Ozark Lane.
And is there an apartment number or building number?
No, this is a house.
Great. And it's in Las Vegas, correct?
Yeah, it's in Las Vegas, and it's 89167.
Thank you. Oops. Oh, sorry. In rehearsal, we created an email address for Jason Bateman. So guess what? I'm going to age you one more year.
Ah, devastating.
It's okay. Jason Bateman, like many people, get better with age. So
Really ageless.
He really is. And has more range as he gets older. And if you haven't watched Ozark, which is the inspiration behind this tutorial, you should. And you'll see that you've been registered because the email address pops up here. Something good to notice, if you don't see an email address up there, stop right there and register. And you can register at any time during the interview. Okay, so a lot of these initial screens are informational. I suggest that when you play around with it before you take on actual tenants, read through them. And tenants who are doing it themselves should absolutely read through these start pages. But for the sake of this exercise and to move quickly, I'm going to kind of fast forward these. This is actually a very helpful informational video that will guide you through how to actually work this. It's probably as fun as watching me and Ryan play this part, but it is also very helpful. Understanding self-representation, of course, because we're not their lawyers, as they fill this out themselves. It's going to tell you what forms will populate and what information they'll need. And then, so we already know, he said that the city is Las Vegas, where the rental property is. And Jason, you said you're living at Ozark Lane and you received a notice in regards to Ozark Lane, right? You're being evicted from your home?
Yeah, I got two notices actually.
Okay. So I know he lives there. I'm going to choose residential tenant. Now I'm going to stop here and show you what a tenant would be looking at. Ryan, do you see that notice? Jason, do you see that notice? I'm sharing my screen. Can you see an lease file?
No, it's still on the guidance file.
Okay. Excuse me while I switch screens here. So what Jason Bateman is looking at is how about now?
There it is.
So Jason was served with a 5-day notice to perform lease condition or quit, which he's going to be looking at. For the sake of this exercise, I'm going to pretend like I can't see this. I would really suggest that if you have tenants who are able, ask them to screenshot pictures of the notice to you. It will move a lot faster because you can see exactly what they're looking at, and it's very helpful. So for Jason, he received this first 5-day notice to perform lease condition or quit. And as Jim noted, you'll see the reason why they're being evicted here. So this reads that this section of the lease agreement prohibits pets, and tenants are housing 2 birds and 3 hamsters. And a section of the lease also prohibits unauthorized tenants beyond those listed in the agreement. And the landlord believes that there are additional people living there. You're going to get a lot of questions about, this is blank. Is this a real notice? The answer is that's not for you to decide. That's for a judge to decide. Many times this declaration of service is blank, but the landlord has their version, which is actually all filled out, and you don't take chances on this file within the time period, right? So this notice, as we talked about, as Jim talked about, all the notices that are really not non-payment are 2 parts. So this one says, hey, you've got 5 days to fix these issues or else I'm moving forward with an eviction. So 5 days after, the landlord wasn't satisfied, still thought that Jason was housing hamsters. So what do? They serve Jason with the 5-day notice of unlawful detainer, which is part 2 of the eviction process. And you'll see that this is what he'll be looking at. There's the date of service. That means that the clock starts ticking the day after December 14th is when you start counting the 5 days like Jim went over. So again, this notice says, hey, file an answer otherwise, and here's a link to what you're going to be helping people with. And if you don't, you might get evicted. So let's go back to our interview that Jason's going to be playing the part of. Okay. Are we back on the interview, Jason? Can you see?
Yep.
Okay, super. Okay, so this question, if he received 2 notices like that, or if he received the 7-day non-payment of rent notice, the answer to this is no. A summons and complaint is a formal eviction, which this interview isn't for. A summons and complaint will say summons and complaint. So if you don't see those words, the answer is no. And this question says, which of these notices were you given? Well, I already know from Jason, he got the 5-day lease violation notice, but you'll see that all the choices are here for the summary eviction. So just to clarify, Jason, you said that you received a 5-day notice to perform lease condition and an unlawful detainer. You got 2 notices, right?
Yeah, those are what they say.
Now, can you look at the 5-day notice to quit for unlawful detainer? And can you tell me if there's a date of service stamped on there?
Yeah, I think it's in red here. It's December 14th.
December 14th. So I know when I look at my trusty calculator, like Jim showed us, or not calculator, calendar, the 14th was a Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the 17th. Today is not a court day in Las Vegas Justice Court, so 21st, 22nd. I know by the end of the day on the 22nd, Jason needs to have his answer filed. So have more than 5 business days passed since that date? No. Jason, have you heard about the CDC halt or stop or pause on evictions?
Yeah. I gave my landlord Donna that a while ago. A
You
while ago,
did.
I gave that to her. Yeah.
Great. Now, for this interview, if your tenant had not done it, you would choose no, and it would run you through additional pages to see if they qualify. For the sake of this exercise and moving it along, we're going to say that he's already given the declaration. But the interview will work both ways. Okay. Oops. And as we've all learned to become during COVID, just be comfortable with the silence. And yes, it is a bit repetitive. You have to type things in a couple of times just from difference between registration and the actual interview, the actual stuff that's going in the form. And Jason, is your rent subsidized by Public Housing Authority or any kind of governmental agency?
No, we pay it ourselves.
Okay. Now, when you look at your eviction notices, Jason, do you see another name on there? It's addressed to you, but is there someone else?
Yeah, it's addressed to me and my roommate, Laura Linney.
Okay. And Laura's a person, I'm assuming, right?
Laura is a person.
She is an individual. And is her name Laura and then Linney?
Yep, that's correct.
Thank you.
Good guess on the last name. A lot of people spell it IE at the end.
Oh, well, they're not as cultured as I. And when you look at those notices, Jason, do you see the landlord's name?
Well, it says from the Ozark group. I always deal with Donna. Donna's the lady I always talk with, and she's just a real jerk. But this says the Ozark group. I don't know who they are.
Okay. But Donna's the property manager that you always deal with, but she's not on the notice, correct?
No, she's not on there.
Okay. So an important thing about these filling this out is as much as possible, we want to match the information as it is in the notice. And that's because the clerks are going to link what the landlord files with what Jason files. So if he didn't have the notice or he lost it and he's like, I don't know what was on it, but I deal with Donna. Sure, he could put Donna, but what's going to end up happening is the courts are going to shuffle around a little bit and have to match it by address, which can cause some complications. So let's avoid complications and stick with what is on the notice so that it's consistent throughout, because we know the landlord's going to put that on their complaint too. Now, can you tell me what the address for the Ozark group is, Jason?
Yeah, they have a PO box 14365.
And is it in Las Vegas?
Yeah, it's Las Vegas, Nevada, 89110.
And is there a phone number for the Ozark group on there?
It's 702-580-5555.
Thank you. Now, this is the first defenses page. These are all the common defenses to a lease violation notice. Because I'm familiar with these, what I do is I hit none of the above, and I'll tell you why. I go to the next screen. What you can do is you can read through the laws and all the defenses and read them each individually to the tenant and say, which ones of these do you check? But I'll tell you what I do. I skip to the next page where this is the tenant's opportunity to tell me what their defenses are. And then it helps me go back and check the ones that I think will work. So what I'll do is this. So, Jason, I'm going to ask you for about 3 sentences. And in those 3 sentences, if you could just explain to me briefly what your defenses are, why you don't think you should be evicted, and why you think these notices are wrong, and what you want the judge to know. And I can only type exactly what you say to me.
Okay. Well, uh, so the notice says I had 2 birds and 3 hamsters and someone else living with me, but I don't. My sister was visiting, and she brought her birds and hamsters with her, but only for one night, and then she left, so she's not here anymore.
With her,
So
and only for one night.
so I think I don't think it's really about that. I think I've been having trouble paying my rent the last couple months, so I think that's what this is really about.
Ah, thank you, Jason. Okay, so this pretty much fits in there, but if we had gone on for a little bit longer and you needed more room, what you can do is just cut this, say, yes, I need additional space, and then continue with your information down there. And all it will do is populate the form so that there's no overlap on text. So I'm going to hit next, but like I said, I now know what Jason's defenses are, or what he's trying to articulate as his defenses. So I'm going to go back to that one page where I chose none of the above. And instead of choosing none of the above, I think a good defense is the conduct of the landlord describes is not a lease violation because he was just having a visitor. Not a lace violation, a lease violation. I fixed the violation within 5 days. Well, if it was a violation, maybe you fixed it. So those are a couple of things that you can include. Again, what's most important is that you get this in timely. So I'm going to hit next. And then remember, like I told you, in order to capture that change, you just have to keep going through the interview and hitting next again. And what I mean by that is don't just go here and then skip this page and skip to general defenses. Just keep going through the pages and hit next. Now, another helpful thing that I want to note is this blue line right here. Look, we're almost done. You can see how far we've made it. So I know that, I've got 10 more minutes with Jason. I'm coming up on that. That's okay. We've probably only got a few more minutes left. Okay. Now, Jason, if the unfortunate situation did happen where you went to court and the judge still ordered an eviction, would you need more time to move out?
Well, how much time do they give me?
That's a great question. After the court hearing, the judge sends the order to the constable, who then posts the order on your door in about 24 hours. After they post that notice on your door, then they lock out within 24 to 36 hours.
Oh, so I basically have 2 days.
Could be.
So yeah, no, I've been in this house for 10 years. I've been hoarding all this stuff. I have all kinds of stuff in my basement. I have fancy equipment down there. I need time to get all of that out of there.
We can only ask for a maximum of 10 days. How many of those days would you want to ask for?
All of them, as many days as I can get.
Oops. And these are also defenses, I'm sorry, I skipped through that you can go through with the tenants and read them and see if they qualify. Based on, again, my familiarity with the interview, I knew that these probably weren't going to apply to Jason. So skip into the next page. And Jason, can you explain to me again in a couple of sentences why you would need more time to move out? You said you've been there for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I have 10 years worth of things in there, and I have, I mean, most specifically, I have uh, a bunch of fancy audio equipment in my basement that I just need time to. You can't just throw that stuff out the window, and it's a basement window too, so that'd make it even harder. So
Ah,
I need all this time.
I need time to move out.
Yeah.
Okay. And how lovely it is that you have a basement in Las Vegas.
Well, it stays cool during the summer.
Oh, that's great. Okay. So no additional space needed. So Jason, you told me that you gave Donna a copy of the CDC declaration. How did you give it to her?
I sent it to her email.
Okay. And when did you send that to her?
I sent it to her on December 1st.
Ah, okay.
I think, yeah, December 1st.
And so this question automatically populates to, did they give it to the landlord who's on the notice? He's saying he didn't. He gave it to Donna, the property manager. Do you know Donna's last name?
No, she's just Donna.
Okay. Kind of like Cher.
Kind
No
of
F.
like Cher. Yeah, she's much meaner than Cher, though.
Oh, I'm going to put Donna, property manager, here. If all you know is that her name is Donna, then you just put Donna. But what email address did you send it to?
Just donna@gmail.com. She must have joined Gmail early. I can't believe she got that one.
Well, she's not a classic like you, Jason. All right. So you'll see that the answer portion is completed. Now we have to start the filing fees portion. Jason, in order to file this answer with a court, it costs $71. Will you be willing to pay the $71 today, or would you rather ask the court to waive those fees?
Oh, no, can we ask him to waive it? We don't make much here.
We sure can. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about your household income. Now, how many adults live in your home? Is it just you and Laura?
Yeah, just the two of us.
Okay, no children?
Nope,
And Laura is an adult, correct?
she is.
Okay. Do you get any public assistance or Medicaid?
I mean, our income's from Social Security,
Ah, okay.
but no Medicaid.
So, and how much do you get from Social Security, the two of you?
Combined, we get about $1,400 a month.
Any other sources of income?
No, that's it.
Oops. And all of these have to be populated with zeros. Okay, so we're gonna hit next. And Jason, you declare under penalty of perjury that everything you've told me is true and correct, and you're unable to pay the filing fees today?
Yeah, that's correct.
Now, this page is a survey page, which is extremely helpful to us in terms of coming up with better ways to express ourselves and ask the questions. So if you have time, please encourage your tenants to fill out the survey or help them fill it out, because sometimes they're just very helpful in helping us share with courts how many people are actually using this and how much time it takes them and how useful and helpful it is, especially in times like this. But for the sake of today, I'm going to skip through the survey. Okay, Jason, it looks like we're all done. I'm going to start reviewing your documents, and then we'll be moving on to filing.
Okay.
And so these are all the forms that have been populated. You have to review every form before you file it, and you choose view, like I just did. I'll show you on the next one a little slower. But you'll see that everything's populated in here. It's been served with a performed lease condition. Here's his address. And just to triple check, Jason, your address is 1001 Ozark Lane. Your phone number is 580-4557, and email jason1982@aol.com.
Yep, that's right.
And you'll see that the appropriate portions of the form are filled out. Here are his offenses, and here's the statement that he wrote. The continuation is on the addendum, which is right here. And you'll see that it populates today's date that he's going to file, as well as his signature line. Now we have to, go back to the summary. We have to review the next document, which you'll see right here. This is his proof of service that he gave the declaration to Donna, and the right box is checked by email to Donna, the property manager, at the following address on such and such date. And you said you emailed it to Donna on December 1st, right?
Well, let me check. Oh no, you know what? I apologize. I emailed it to her on November 1st. It was a while ago.
Okay, no problem. So what we're going to do is go back to the summary. We're going to hit return to interview. And I'm going to hit this blue button that says completed, because I remember that it was in that interview where it asked me when we gave Donna the declaration. So what you just have to do is find the page where you entered that information. And I know it's on this page, proof of service page. So I pull that back up again, and Jason says he needs to change this to November 1st, 2020. And then remember, we have to hit next and keep going through the interview until it's completed. So that captures all those changes. And we have to go through this one again, but the information is not lost. All you have to do is click through. Next. Next. Oh, one other thing that I wanted to share with you. When going through that fee waiver, you may have noticed that Jason had told me how much money he had made. And one good thing to note is it's always up to the judge. There it is.
There we go.
So that's the Las Vegas Justice Court fee waiver guide. They go off 132% federal poverty level. So if Jason had told me, hey, together we make Social Security and we make 1985 together, I would say, I don't know if you're going to get approved for a fee waiver. So just be on the lookout that if you are denied, the court will be calling you and asking you to pay the $71, either by coming to court and paying in cash or by paying over credit card over the phone. There is an opportunity, if it's very close, for the tenant to plea with the court, make their statement as to why they aren't able to afford the 71. But generally, I knew that he and Laura made $1,400, which is $500 less than that standard. So I'm fairly certain, even though I can never really say because I'm not the judge, but I'm fairly certain he'll get approved. Okay, so back to the interview. Here we are, goes back through the survey, and we have made all those changes. So I'm just gonna have to review them and double check that those changes were captured. Here we go again. So you select, you view. You can also download. If you are doing a North Las Vegas or Henderson complaint, download them, save them to PDF, and then that's what you're going to email. But for today, we're going to view this, and you'll see that all the information is still there. The answer wasn't really changed, so that looks good. I'm going to go back and review to make sure the proof of service was changed to, and sure enough, there it is, November 1st to Donna at Gmail. And then here is the fee waiver that gets populated based on Jason's income. 2 adults, 1,400, signature, populated. Now, we reviewed it, so all these check boxes appear. The next thing we're going to do, hit next. All right, Jason, we're getting ready to file.
Oh, all right.
Now, you'll see here on this screen, It's telling what exactly the filings are going to be. These are just codes. The filing fees are waived. If you are paying, if a tenant is paying, it follows basically a regular credit card page. And we submit now. And then we just cross our fingers and hope that this interview works. All right. So this is an envelope number, which is very important. This is the one that you want to write down for your tenants. So what I'll say is, Jason, I'm going to give you 2 very important things to write down today, okay?
Okay.
The first is for your password. Your password is pineapple with a capital P.
Pineapple. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Pineapple with a capital P, 4567 #, or hashtag, as the kids say.
Okay, so capital P, pineapple, 4567 hashtag.
Yes, sir. And your envelope number is 711-3984.
711-3984.
Yes.
Okay.
In just a couple of minutes, you're going to get an email from the court at jason1982@aol.com. And Odyssey Guide and File is going to tell you that they've received your filing for processing. But in about 24 to 48 hours, you're going to get an email again that has your documents file stamped, and that means that everything's gone through. If you get any kind of email that says it's been rejected, well, then you'll have to call us back.
Okay. Okay, so right now we're done?
Right now we're done. The important thing you have to remember is just to look out for your email and look out for your mail. And you're going to get information from the court about your filings and when your court date may be.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Lauren. This is much easier than going down to court.
You got it, Jason. Best wishes to you.
Thank you.
And scene. Gosh, Ryan, you should not be a lawyer. You got to be you got to go back to acting. It's too good. Okay, so last things I'm going to share with you are just a couple more slides, and then we'll be finishing up. So I just wanted to give you a couple bits of information about legal aid. We assist victims of domestic violence, divorce, custody, TPOs, immigration cases, and we also have a consumer program, which Jim is in charge of, that helps with debt collection cases, payday loans, Social Security, bankruptcy, all that kind of stuff. On Legal Aid's website, at the very bottom, you'll see lacsn.org. On that website, there is a legal and financial toolkit, which is very helpful, constantly evolving with everything that changes every day with COVID. So we refer people to that all the time. Information about utilities, rent, anything that's going on that affects tenants right now, financially and legally, and eviction stuff. So keep checking on that toolkit, keep sending people those links. We do have free virtual community legal education classes. Anyone's interested in the small claims class, I'll be teaching that this afternoon. And we have telephonic Ask a Lawyer sessions. So every Wednesday, we have a volunteer lawyer who telephonically talks to tenants for 20 minutes each. And they can ask that lawyer for legal advice, how to proceed with their case, how to present their case in court, and all kinds of procedural questions as well. All of our services at Legal Aid are remote right now, so email, phone, all of it. And those are the numbers and emails you can use: 702-386-1070 or info@lacsn.org. And lastly, the Civil Law Self-Help Center, which is where I work. We provide self-help information to anybody who's unrepresented by an attorney in those civil cases. We call ourselves the Legal Emergency Room. Because we help with those kinds of emergency filings like these eviction filings, the guided online interviews, the ones that you saw, And in 2019, we helped more than 47,000 litigants. It's going to be higher this year, is what I can tell you. Our remote services are offered by phone and online chat. So we're open the same hours as Las Vegas Justice Court, 7:30 to 5:30, Monday through Thursday. So if you hop on our website, civillawselfhelpcenter.org, during those business days, you'll see one of our awesome agents on chat via the chat bubble. And you can always also call in during office hours at that number. We just want to really thank you all for being here today. We know you're doing such a great service to all the tenants who need you. And I've got a list of email addresses that I will send the PowerPoints to. And if anyone ever has any questions, of course, we're here to answer those for you. So thank you for all of your participation, and we so appreciate having you here today.